think it went well. Jansons told me that there are a lot of new people in the orchestra, so for a lot of people actually this very popular piece was actually new. So we had to fix some things, and for me also, you know, to get used to this wonderful hall and to get used to Jansons. I mean, to get used to the orchestra. For me, there's so many debuts in this one performance. You know, everything is the first time. So of course for me this rehearsal was important to also get adjusted and to also get adjusted to the excitement. Jansons, he's very attentive to detail, and he's very, very interested in music, which I think is fantastic. And it's not a given with conductors. Some conductors, you know, are interested in other things, but he's just very interested in the subject and in character. And so I feel that that we can get right to the point, which is fantastic, because that is what music making should be about. No, it should be about music and not about politics and not about these things. So I'm very glad to work with him. Yeah.
It is your debut with the Concertgebouw orchestra. Have you been in Amsterdam before?
I have been as a tourist, and you know, of course, to come here to work is something very different, you know. But yesterday I took a nice walk in the garden, and I you know, enjoy the atmosphere, the laid-back atmosphere. So coming to Amsterdam is great. But of course, now that I have to work, I cannot go out and get drunk and have a smoke. I mean, it's, you know, I'm here to be focused, and so of course now it's very different.
Sjostakovich's first cello concerto is considered to be one of the most difficult concertos ever written. How do you prepare for such demanding repertoire?
You sit down and you practice, and you practice and you practice, and then when you think you got it, you practice more. It's really a very simple formula. What is especially demanding for me in this piece is actually what we did not rehearse today is the cadenza. Because for about, I would say, approximately 8 to 10 minutes you're alone, and you have to create a curve of drama over this period of time, and you have to stay extremely focused, and that is actually quite unique to have such a long cadenza, which is actually a movement of its own in this concerto. So musically, I think that is. For me, that is the most demanding thing about it. And of course, you know, what is quite difficult, that there is a lot of it has quite a fast pace, and you have a lot of duets together with the woodwinds, and especially in this hall, which sounds so nice and beautiful. Sometimes it's a little difficult to hear clarity, so we had to work on that today to be absolutely exact together.
The concerto was written for Sjostakovitsj, who performed it during the premiere in 1959 in Leningrad, and many times afterwards. There are recordings, audio and video of Sjostakovitsj playing the first concerto. Did you listen to those recordings?
Well, I grew up basically with the first recording. I think it's o.l.v conducting. And yes, now we have YouTube. Thank you. And you can see all these videos. But I've, recently listened less and less to recordings and also to this recording, because I think he has an incredibly strong view on the piece, but it is his view, and I think in order to find my own interpretation, I need to almost protect myself from all these fantastic ideas that are out there, because in the end, if you take from everybody, you don't know what is your own idea. Now, in the end, maybe my ideas are not as brilliant as Sjostakovitsj, but at least I can say, this is what I believe, and this is what I'm for. And I think that's also what the audience is interested in, is to see what is this guy's view on the concerto. Otherwise, they could just buy the recording from Sjostakovitsj and have his view right there. So I try to make a point the last years not to listen too much to recordings anymore.
Traveling around the world, you regularly visit schools to teach children about classical music. Can you explain what happens during those visits?
Oh, it's fantastic. First of all, it's very unpretentious, and that's what I like. I mean, you cannot fool children. Of course, they want to know everything, and at first they're a little shy, but then when they start asking questions, I don't have to do anything anymore. I just have to answer questions, and they do all the talking, and they're like, I explained to them that 100 years ago the strings of the cello were made of cat gut, and they're like, it's a big panic. But what is fascinating for me is that in a group of 30 people, you will always have 2 or 3 people where you realize that was what they needed to be interested in classical music. And I don't think it's necessary to ask for more. I think it's really about these 2 or 3 people that they are convinced, probably 20 years later, to buy a ticket to the Concertgebouw and to actually go there. And I think it's these early seeds that we need to plant. And no, I really enjoy these visits. And because of the honesty of the children, I mean, if it suddenly gets very loud and they're not concentrated anymore, I feel it's my fault, so I feel challenged. I feel very challenged.